there guys, welcome to another tutorial by the Hasty Terrain Maker. Today what I'm going to be doing is two types of water, rivers with water with hot glue. One we're going to be doing just strictly hot glue, no paint. The other one we're going to be going alongside it with the paint. We're also going to be using some rocks here to put into our features. And yeah, so I'm going to be using some of my tree bark that I love to use. Generally I have a few twigs, but my kid, 6-year-old, stole them all. And let's see what else. Yeah, usually I'll put some ballast on the sides depending on what type of year it is, or some fake snow. This time I'm not going to do either. I'm just going to do the water itself because I'm not going to be using this on a project more than likely this year. This will probably go on a board next year. So yeah, let's get going. All right here, so I've got my hot glue gun ready to go. I'm using some wax paper parchment, just some clear stuff right here. I've got the shiny side on top and the dull side on the bottom. I've got some of my paint all ready to go here for when I need to start touching into some drying wet paint, or wet hot glue. I should say wet, still ready to go. So generally all I do is I just start, I forgot my toothpicks. So let me just pause this, go grab some toothpicks, and I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. So I've got one toothpick that I use quite often for projects, and you can see I kind of got glue on one end, and the side I don't, I hold. And I've got a toothpick here with nothing on it. And the reason for this is you're going to be teasing some of this hot glue as you're moving it. So what I like to do when I do these, and I've used these on a few of my ward boards going this way, is, okay, there we go. So I like to just get a little layer going down on the parchment here. Nothing major. Just a good base, because what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this stone. It's not wide enough. Let's make it a little more. And this first batch is just eating up my glue stick because there was no glue in that prior. Okay, so I'm just going to take my rock, place it near the front, leaving some of the back exposed with the hot glue. And now I'm going to just take my glue toothpick, and I'm going to tease some of that hot glue up and around, and I want to try to get it looking like it's hitting a wave. And don't worry, you're going to get some strands coming out like you did with your waterfalls. That's more than okay, because when you're done and you peel off, you're just going to cut those little strands away. So I'm going to get another glue stick ready because I know I'm going to need one soon. You guys can't see on this side, but I'll show you after. I'm just going now around this rock where the glue was very thin just to hold it. Okay, and I'm just going to do the same thing I did on the other side. I'm just going to kind of tease this, kind of make it look like water running, and bring some of it up onto the rock to make it look like it's coming up onto the rock. And I'm just grabbing a quick drink of coffee here. Alright, place that down. Now I'm going to come around this side some more. I'm going to just let that, get my next glue stick in, going to mix this around, trying to bring it up on the water a bit. Don't worry if you don't get your waves going the way you want them right away. The reason I have a second toothpick is when it starts drying a bit more and settling down, this is where I'm going to kind of try to, I might have to go back over that. I ignored that. You'll see it on the other side. This is where I'm going to start getting my permanent water waves. I just wanted to get this other stuff up onto the, okay, there we go. That side should, no, still, oh no, it's starting to dry enough I can tease it up without it wanting to settle back down. Get this toothpick out of the way. Come over into the front here. Get my glue stick biting through. All we're doing right here, right now, is kind of just getting the base down. And you do go through a lot of glue on here, but the thing is you're just using dollar store glue, so instead of paying 10-15 bucks for a realistic water, having to place it, wait for it to set, tease it up a bit if you want to tease it, then wait for it to set even more, and then wait 24 hours, I find this a much better solution. So I'm just trying to get this going and teasing a little bit underneath, because my lay down and next applied layer is just going to kind of heat this down a bit more anyways. All right, so I'm going to come here. Just want a little thin layer of glue coming out to the side. We're going to expand this out. All right, so that should be a good enough long or wide river. We're going to come over here and make this equal out. I'm just kind of giving the flow of how I want my water. Going to be running here. Okay, and as this is starting to settle down now, I'm going to start giving it some teasing up. Trying to make it look like it's running around the rock. Just don't tease it in any pattern. Try to give it a bit more of a flow. You know, the water's coming around, so bring it in. Just don't go. That's, I think, still a little too hot. Try to get my access toothpick or glue off this small toothpick and leave my thicker one. I don't care if it picks up glue off and on. It'll come off eventually. I usually take some scissors and snip it off and get it back down to, or peel off what I can and then snip down the rest. See, you get a lot of that glue off right here, build up, and you're back down to pretty much less than what I had. And if I want, I can just peel off a bit more here while that settles. Oh, I'm gonna have to get that off my carpet. All right. So while I'm at it, this is going to be our one that's going to have a little bit of color going to it. So I'm going to kind of come in here with my paintbrush that's got some watered down a bit. Don't worry if you get some of your paint on your rock. You can just come back over after it glues or dries with your glue, and then give it a little splash, making it look like it's coming up with the water effect coming over it. I like doing the colored ones for when I do my Christmas dioramas or wargaming boards, because it kind of gives it more of a cartoonish feel for the Christmas boards, Christmas dioramas, and in the Warhammer boards I find that it is a little more kind of cool looking on the terrain, having that animated look to it than a clear just hot glue and using it to do it for that clear effect, like for a wargaming board. If you're doing a scenery or a terrain diorama and you wanted to have that 100% water effect without using fake water. So I'm not worrying about this side, those little runs right here. All I wanted to do is get my around my rock get the paint starting to dry. And this way I see all the areas that might need a little more flow here and there. So I take my white paint, kind of like what I did with the other waterfall, and I'm just going to kind of brush it in where I think have a Muppets Christmas Carol playing and kind of got distracted on a little scene. Alright, so I'm just trying to get the white mainly on top on this one, unlike the waterfall where I blended it a lot more in. Because the waterfall I was going for is more of a frozen look to it. So I wanted that lighter blue. This one here, I want more of a active running flowing water, so I'm just kind of trying to hit certain areas with a little bit of a blend and not too, because once it dries wet, it looks like a more blotchy on there wet than it does not. If you can see that, it looks kind of more blotchy, but as it dries it's going to be less prominent as the two paints absorb in with each other. And then when you go over it with your nail gloss like I did with the waterfalls, then you see it nicely. Again, if you're a better painter than I am, you can make these look really, really sharp, but I'm just here to give the idea of how I do it. Other people can perfect off of how I do it. Prefer to see that happening. Alright, so I'm going to let that dry and continue coming down in between here. Get another glue stick on the go ready. So I'm just going to start in from where I last finished off, and I'll just come down within my guideline of now where I want my water. And all I want to do is give my base layer and a little bit of tease once it settles down enough to tease again. Try to move your glue as it's hot into the empty spaces. That don't worry if you go up onto the paint, you're going to want to be doing similar to that with a coat over it anyways. That's why I'm waiting for it to dry. Oh, and careful how you hold your gun. So I'm just trying to and I'll do my next thread down. Okay, now time to get ready. Oh, no, not quite yet. Another push or two and my stick will be ready to go down. Yeah. Well, that's the problem with using dollar store glue guns. They're not the absolutely greatest here. But hey, it's cheaper than spending money on glue guns when you don't have it. Okay, so I want to get this. I love those little threads. Okay, come back over to the other side. That's starting to get more dry now. Start teasing up your waves. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Now I'm going to go back over my guideline and meet back up with my base. I'm just going to kind of hide that little line that I had going and kind of merge it into the next. So instead of seeing that straight up, not sure how well, seeing that straight up glob that I like to get on the waterfall with the bead, I get more of a, now blending back into that water. So alright, now that this other side's starting to dry up a bit more, settle down, I'm going to start running my toothpick over that, trying to get some water. That one is, wow, that other side started settling down really quick. Quicker than I'm used to. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on this side, get the bead going, hide it. And start filling in that other section right here. And because I want my water going a bit longer, it's going to be time to start pulling this back a bit. Okay, so I'm going to start teasing and hiding that bead. Make sure I bring that into the top and over the other side so it matches in. There, nicely hid. That's nicely hid. Give the other side a few moments to settle down. Have a drink of coffee really quick. Yeah, I'm not sure if you can hear Mr. Muppet Kermit singing. Bob Cratchit, but now we're almost close to teasing the next part. If I need a smoke of medicine. Alright, and we're gonna just lay down my toothpick. Just had my toothpick, oh, there it is. Wicker and toothpicks don't go hand in hand. Okay, so I'm gonna make this look like it's breaking wave. Bring this continuing down. And now I just cover up. Off my access again. Alright, and now that top part should be more dry, I'm going to go over it with some blue here. And I'm not worried about getting down in the crevices too much with this here, because the other color that pops out with the clearness is a sparkling sun kind of look effect. Alright. There. Now I'm going to come back over again with my white. I just brush. Try to find where all my big high bumps are and brush over it, and then kind of give it just a little, well, I like to do a little fuzz because I'm not a good painter. Fuzz a little brush over and make it look a little less patchy white. Alright. That's a little too much white on here. Don't worry about strands if you see. This is why I like using paint, because then I can go back with little snips or tiny little scissors and give them a more of a cut off, and then I get rid of them, and then the little parts that come up look like a little wave when water's kind of splashing up. That's what I like doing with the clear paint. Alright, so I'm going to get this coming back out again. Make it look like it's expanding and turning. Alright, so I'm going to need another glue stick soon. Alright, there's my little toothpick. I want to get this merging in with the other water. again, don't be too concerned if you're not getting big choppy wave looking waves yet. When you first apply the heat and everything you do starts settling down, that's because you're hot, your glue is hot still, so it's just not going to be able to settle, and that's why I say wait a few moments as it's going. And as you start seeing it kind of getting just a little plasticky, more kind of like a moldy plastic than glue, is usually when I like to start getting ready to tease or run my waves through it on, like I'll do on the clear one when I make the clear one, which I'm not sure I'll get time to at the same time as this one. I might have to wait and do the clear one tomorrow because I need to go out to the airport tonight and get my sister and brother-in-law after work in the evening, so I don't think I'm going to have the time to do another hour and a half tutorial. It's always shorter when I'm doing it with posting them because you don't get to see all the edit parts that I've taken out. Alright, I don't want this all breaking, so I'll come back over with my glue gun. And I'm going to as it's nice and still wet and before this part can set, I'm going to try to smooth this a little in here. And I'm just going to work it down. Okay, so now my glue on the other side is getting perfect for teasing. Usually I have a weight over here to help keep this side down as I tease because the glue sticks really well and yeah, it pulls up. Alright, so that looks much better. Let's get this off. See, this is my original stick that had that huge glue glob, and as it gets a bit warmer as you're teasing, you just clear it off and get it going. Alright. I'm going to now find my paintbrush, go over the other parts that are drying over here, get it around on the side, and start trying to fill in the last of this. I have one waterfall that I did set waterfalls as the glue was drying and I was teasing, I was going over with my brush with it as it was still hot. The glue was hot enough and mixing the glue in that way and it looked pretty good, but I burnt through that brush pretty quick with a lot of glue sticking to the bristles, so I've been thinking about trying to do that again because it looked really freaking cool, but yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe I'll try it again. Alright. I want my water heavier down where I just put it for a reason. And yeah, maybe I need to put a little, as I edit and watch it, I might put a little music just before this where I'm a little more quieter. I'm just kind of focusing in my mind where I should work some more. There we go. A little bit more blue to, oh, too much. To touch up areas I think there's a little too much white or too strong of white. All right. I'm gonna now come back around where I was going on the rock with my glue gun. Get this little handly thing out, middle part out of the way. Now I want to kind of start bringing my glue from the base up onto the rock a bit and back down like the waterfall technique, and doing it in a few spots where I want this looking like water breaking up and over the rock. And the reason I come up and use the loop technique is the glue is going to run back down parts of the rock as it's getting ready to dry, as it's drying down, or not drying, cooling. I don't know why I want to use that word dry. So as it's cooling, it wants to run back down the rock, and that's when you're able to loop it, and it gives it a wider effect. Oh, perfect. From this angle, I can see a good strand I can pull right away. Okay, so as it's now coming down and getting a bit harder on the other side, I'm just going to try to blend that, looking like it's natural and not just glued here. Okay, oh, that dried onto that rock really quick. Usually it doesn't dry on that quick. Wow. So I'm going to just glue some more over it. Yeah, I've never had that happen. A first time for a person, just because I'm doing a video there. We're melting into that. Right now, I'm going to tease a bunch of this to look like it's water coming up and over. There, yeah, that's what I want. And you'll see eventually that's going to dry looking like some water breaking up and over. Okay, before this one decides to dry up nice and quick again, which is already starting to do. Wow. I want to tease out, looking up like it's more water. Holy moly. Never had these rocks dry so quick with the glue around it. So, and you'll see once I'm done on this side that it looks like it's some water breaking up and over onto the rock. There. That's why I said don't worry if you, as you're going around the bottom of the rock, if you got some paint on it, because you can, I'm not going over it and getting paint that I can see on this side by accident, but if you do, when I first started doing this, this is how I used to hide it, and why I started breaking waves up and over rocks was to hide oopses of getting paint on my rock. Alright, now some white for highlight. Yeah, poor Rosalie getting abused over in Charles Dickens by the great Gonzo, it sounds like. Alright, a little more. I'm just trying to lightly mix some of this blue into the white as it's breaking up, and I'll give you a look here in a second. I can turn this around here. Let's see if I can get this camera without getting my fingers in the way. I'll get some pictures so you can really see it once it's... But right now the paint doesn't do it justice with the wetness till it starts drying and settling into the look. turn that back around. And like I said, as you're going, don't worry, don't about getting your paint in here all the way. For either one, it's going to help give you more of a watery, when the light's hitting off of it, it's going to look like some sun patches. Second, because I wanted to have this a little more textured in depth, I'm going to come around again with some more glue. And that's why I said, don't worry if you don't get your waves the way you want them exactly. Don't go side to side like you did with your last one. Just kind of make random patterns with your glue gun over along here. I want to come around. And what I'm going to do is I wait. Oh, my toothpick rolled under my parchment. Oh, no, it got stuck in a rut. I want to try to just lightly, as it's wet, bring it over the other glue in a few areas. Make it look like it's running, and this is up into some different motion. Oh, maybe I just, did my glue gun get unplugged? Or not drying enough heat? Because this is drying up pretty quick. It's not the rock this time around. Okay, so the reason I'm saying you want to do some just lines here is it's going to give the appearance of, so it's going to be giving the appearance of running water, and my phone just finished going off and cut me off. I just had to restart. Yeah, so I'm not sure if my glue gun's drawing enough heat, because generally I should be getting this lasting longer. I thought it was just on my rock that it was doing it to, but it's not. It's kind of doing this to my whole strand of glue now. It's kind of just gluing on contact, or hardening on contact, which is not what I want, because I want to be able to run this a bit and tease it and have this look like it's some moving water before it gets all gooey. And it's making it a little hard for me to do that and to blend it in when it's gluing almost on contact, because then you get some bulbs that look like it's real glue stick and not motioned water. So as I come around with this rock, oh, let me know the glue stick in a second. I usually go about through 8 or 9 glue sticks when I do this, so that's not uncommon. And I know it's not a problem with the dollar store glue sticks, because I've been using these glue sticks for several years now and doing my waterfalls and my wargaming board water with either hot glue or caulking now for several years. I've never ever seen this happen before. So maybe it's just a bad batch of glue, or my gun somehow losing its flavor with heat. Okay, and from what I can see on this side, and you'll eventually see soon, is now some of this is starting to look like more running, breaking water, and giving us some more depth and texture to the look. I'll come a little bit more around here, give this a few areas, break, give underneath here another. Snip. kind of keep on teasing this and just let it slowly dry. Now I'm going to twirl. Oh, I did get my twirl. There we go. A bit of a twirl, and it pulls some of this water off. There, that'll be perfect. Go back over it with my paint. And why I'm so not worried when I go over here is underneath, just going fast, is because I do this second layer, so as it dries, you can still see some of the other stuff underneath. And you don't just see blotches either. Wet, you don't see as much. All right. So when it starts drying, then you really get to see more of the underneath look coming out. And again, the parts that don't catch any paint underneath end up looking like sun glittering off. The water. There we go. A little white over here to highlight some of the tops. Love to see someone doing this who can paint, to really see how much better this can look painted properly. Personally, I like the clear look the best as I'm working on it till I see these popped into scenery as I'm just doing them before pre-scene added in. They don't really go, oh, that's really special, or once you get to see why I do it and add it in, looks much, much cooler. Okay. This side over here can use a little more hit with harder white. Alright, and just a little on this side because it's a little too blue for my liking. Alright. Hold on. That was too blotchy of white. There we go. If I knew how to dry brush proper, that's where this would really come really nice, but I can't dry brush worth shit beans. So, it's not my talent in the painting line. Alright, so at this point, where did I put my bottled water? I left it downstairs, I think. I just take a little bit of my tree brush bark, take it between my fingers and try to just grind little pieces here and there. This one I want more watery because I know what I'm doing with this next year when I use it, and that's going to be more towards my look. And then on the outside I'll have it more dying. I want to kind of there. Alright, so I got my PVA glue on my Windex bottle. Instead of using tack glue sealing for something like this, make your own PVA glue solution. I don't know too many of the, Luke's apps, the the Train Tutor, and some of their train model guys that I've been following do not use any of the sealing products from like Woodland Scenics that does all the spray, because basically it's just spray hair water or hairspray water glue and make your own. I have a tutorial or a quick how-to step on my website under the tips section on how to do that. So right now I'm just kind of laying the water of the PVA solution sealant is going to lock down my ground up shrub. I'm going to just move that over onto my other glue stick, and that is pretty much the look of it. Once it dries up a bit, I'll cut it out and then I'll go over it with some nail polish to give that wet look to it, so the gloss to make it look wet, so it's not flat, just flat paint. So yeah, and I'll have to cut out and around, or some parchment paper, and this is my crappy stuff, even with the side up. You can usually just eventually peel right off. And once I have this dry in probably about 10-15 minutes around the sides, I'll be doing that as well. I'll try to take that off and peel it off and show you what it's like. Alright, so let's wait till that dries up a bit and peel it. So alright, I'm back for one more part here before it's finished. I need to seal it up with my gloss. So I just want to put a little more water on top of the rock here. Get it wet. I just want to take a little bit of my coarse turf. You can use some fine earth. This is just what I had available on hand. And I'm going to gently hold it on the side and just sprinkle, trying to hit only the rock. Some fine turf. You can put a little bit, or coarse turf. I just had this lying around. I thought this was my fine turf hanging, so I just want to get a little bit of, the reason I wanted my, oh come on, there we go. The reason I wanted to get the rock wet first was just so this had something to stick to, and I wanted a bunch of water on here to try to glob it so it looks really wet when it dries, like it looks like it's got that wet slimy look to it. So yeah, and then you just let that dry up. Come back in about half an hour to an hour. All around here should be dry enough to start working with, and you're good to go for your nail polish, and we'll be back soon. Alright guys, so one of the reasons that I do what I do on the parchment paper is I just do that for small little sections of water I'm going to be putting in certain areas. So say this is my board and I'm going to want some water coming out of here and not a full way across, then I just do these little parchment ones and put them in the sections I want. Now, when I do, if you look at my tutorial on the 9-foot by 8-foot board or whatever size it was, where I used caulking and I went all the way through. So I've done another board and I need to find a picture of that because I never did a video. It was before I even thought of it. And what I did, it was the first time I used hot glue solely, is I carved out my water bed where I wanted to go. So then I took some parchment paper down, and so the hot glue wouldn't melt into the foam. So then I just took kids, glue that slide on, sticky bullshit, and I just glued that down to my water bed up and around, and I just did that all the way down along my water, and I did that one clear. So, and I just put a little accent of white here and there, and then went over where I put a little bit of white with clear glue again. So I just gave it different depths, and it actually looks very, very sharp. I wish you could find a picture of that one. So that was what gave me the idea of trying adding paint to it in blue, and I like the look it had on my Christmas villages. So I was like, oh, there we go. You know, there's, instead of buying that sheet blue water that goes down and it looks like crap people use for their Christmas villages, I do my waterfalls, as you saw in the last tutorial, with the hot glue. Caulking does not work for that one bit. Do not even try it. It just does not set. It's horrible. It takes too long to set, and it just, yeah, it disaster. Don't even bother. So hot glue is what I used. It worked very well for blending in. If you look at the video I did, where I added it into the lighthouse, and you can see it going over and merging down with the bottom, it looks much better than buying those plastic sheet water. And yeah, it's a fun little project you get to do. So if you're doing a big war gaming board or Warhammer board, or you're going to do a Christmas diorama and you want to use this technique for a whole long piece, so I suggest carving out your waterbed, laying down some parchment paper, gluing it down with sticky glue, kids sticky glue. You just kind of mold it in, and it only takes minutes to stick on, and you're ready to go with your hot glue. So yeah, we're going to let the other piece dry, and we'll come back and show you the finished product. Alright, I'm running out of time today. I need to start getting ready to go to work. So I didn't get a chance to have everything completely dry 100%, which is the rock. I did have my paint and that be able to dry, so I was able to gloss over. I'm just going to try to hold this by the top of the rock where I have no flock. So as you can see, this is your waterfall. I'm going to switch my, or waterfall, your little stream going through with the rock. I still have my flock somewhat wet, so I'm just going to bring this phone over here. Sorry for the fingers. And actually, hold on, let's switch the phone back around in a moment here and give you a different view. Alright, so here we are. This is our stream. As you can see, the water's flowing nicely. You got it going in a few different directions, but all going down. Once this rock dries, it's going to pretty much be what I want it to look like anyways. So, like I said, some of the areas where the paint didn't fully go on, and you can see some areas in between some of the cracks, is fine once it's blended into your scenery. You don't notice it. I actually did that by accident the first time, and when I turned my lights on to accent it, it looked very, wow, it looked like some sun was hitting off of it, or the stars, depending on what situation you wanted. So yeah, this is your stream. You've got, I need to touch up in the back here still. I didn't notice I didn't hit the paint, but you've got your waves popping up against your rock. You got some, as it comes around, trying to come up and swirl over. And on this side, you've got a bunch of waves trying to crash up. And you can see where my glue was starting to dry. I was trying to bring it down to make it look like the waves were coming up here and blended in the back, so I can go around and fix that up before I put it on my board for good. But yeah, so this is pretty much the finished result. You got flowing water. This one here, I want to have some bunch of dead branches and or trees and that around it. Once it's on the board, I will be using it for a Christmas diorama next year. That's why I've got all the bark and that in there, so makes sense. And yeah, we're going to put it on my diorama right now to show how it blends in, and be back in a few moments. Alright, so we're back here now with it finally dry, completely 100%. And as you can see, it looks pretty good flowing. There's the rock on top. If you want, you can also, before you put on the coarse turf, you can sprinkle a little bit of finer turf down on some of the flatter areas, not the sides, because you don't see too often on the sides. But as you can see, it looks pretty damn decent. Alright, so I added it in actually under the bridge. I try to use a little tape here to tape it down, so when I go home from work I'll just take some hot glue and quickly tack that down and hold it till it dries. But there you go, I was going to do something else. Oh, let's move this back over towards here. I was going to make a shorter one and put it there, but I like this better, so. Alright, so thank you very much guys for watching, and hopefully we'll see you for another tutorial soon.